Hey y'all, welcome back. Before the creation of Black History Month, Black people had already been celebrating Negro History Week for 50 years. Black History Month was created in 1926 by teacher and scholar Carter G. Woodson, aka the father of Black history. Negro History Week was a staple in Black schools, churches, Black colleges, community centers. It was a time for pageants, plays, oratory contests, essays and poetry contests, and merging school with the community. As we've said before, and Carter G. Woodson said himself, Negro History Week wasn't a time to learn about Black history for the first time. It was a time for school students to celebrate the Black history they had already learned across the entire school year. Negro History Week was political from the start. The celebration made a connection between the violence towards Black people outside the classroom in the early 1900s, Jim Crow laws, racist movies, constant lynchings, and the violence inside the classroom that came from ignoring the existence of Black people in the curriculums. Teachers would use Black history resources sent to them by the Association for the Study of Negro Life and History, also created by Carter G. Woodson in 1915, to create lessons for their students. Black history was meant to be infused with the curriculum all year. This meant showing how Black history was not separate from the study of science or math or social studies. It was an educational revolution for the time. It was a time to build up pride in being Black. It was not necessarily building up pride in being American or emphasizing Black entrepreneurship and business. So why would the United States of America, on the 200th anniversary of 1776, decide to adopt Black History Month in 1976? Let's consider the context. 22 years before 1976 was 1954. That year, the NAACP legal team and Black organizers got the country to say racial segregation in school was, at least on paper, unconstitutional. 21 years before 1976 was the 1955 Montgomery bus boycott, which helped start the Civil Rights Movement. 12 years before 1976, the Civil Rights Act was passed due to the pressure of the Civil Rights Movement. 8 years before 1976, the push for Black studies on college campuses grew across the country. Black students were tired of their history given in the form of apolitical trivia games. By 1969, the Black Power movement was already in motion, with organizations like the Black Panther Party for Self-Defense having chapters across the country. Black communities were not just demanding integration, but liberation and the power to determine their political and economic lives and have community control over their education. More and more people were becoming suspicious of how the economic system of capitalism helped maintain racial hierarchy and discrimination. Countries across the African diaspora were gaining their independence and actively trying to plan a new form of international politics. And by this point, Black colleges and universities were already expanding Negro History Week into a month-long celebration. Some political actors in power did not want this resistance energy to rise. Some political actors wanted to co-opt this energy and direct it back to the status quo. During the 1970s, there was a continuation of a long trend of watering down Black movements through acknowledgement and incorporation. Some government leadership tried to persuade Black communities that their demands were misguided or incomplete. They tried to revise their demand for self-determination and political power, or free healthcare and housing, to a demand for representation, inclusion, and the right to participate in the free market. So given that context, we can ask a serious question about the sincerity behind the decision to put Black History Month on the larger national calendar. We can ask similar questions about MLK Day and Kwanzaa. This is not to diminish the importance of Black History Month to the Black communities already celebrating it. But we can ask a deeper question about the interest the U.S. had in incorporating Black History Month. Did the United States align with the values and aims of Carter G. Woodson? Negro History Week was a political response rooted in study to the political reality of the time. So we can ask, does Black History Month still serve this purpose? Black History Month should and can lead us to think about the entire diaspora and what is politically happening in the 21st century. How are Black issues in Atlanta related to those in Burkina Faso? How does Black life in the US relate to Black life in the Congo? And what are our obligations to each other? How do we teach this to children, friends, and community?